The second question is on corruption and how to tackle corruption in the public service.
Okay.
If you look at, the World Bank, look at Central Bank, FIFA,
Yeah.
look at all over the world,
Yeah.
and look at what happened in relation to the economic crisis.
Yes.
That was because of corruption.
Okay.
So maybe you can address that.
Okay. Tackling corruption. Now, obviously, this is a huge topic and a very difficult one to deal with, but I'll give you a couple of headlines. The single most important antidote or cure for corruption is transparency. Dastardly deeds are done in the dark, okay? So transparency is the crucial thing. Now, transparency comes in at different points. For example, one is on forming boards of directors. If the boards of directors are all pals who have vested interests in this, you have corruption from day one. So what's called the steering committee of a board I'm at the moment assembling a board for an organisation here in Ireland. We're advertising in the paper for good people. We have a competency framework, and a panel of 3 people will interview and test their skills that we need in the board, and also probity, their track record for a good business. So that's where corruption really begins to break down. Also, if boards are there too long. I recently came across an organisation where you had board members for 39 years. That's completely wrong. There are ground rules like 3 years plus 3, and then you have to leave. So rotating the boards is a way to keep that. The second thing is, so it's forming the boards and what I call turnover in the boards. Turnover, that is change in the composition of the board. And also training. So if you don't have those 3, very disciplined and high integrity formation of boards, training of boards, annual evaluation of boards, you have to be working at it, okay? Now, the second thing is, if you like, is called regulation. And that's part of transparency here. And the point I would make is that self-regulation, self-examination doesn't work. If you have doctors killing people accidentally or whatever through negligence, having doctors just investigate doctors is a real problem. So you have to, if there's any, so what you need is both internal audit. As I was saying, the antidote is transparency. And here are some of the ways in which you begin to develop transparency, especially in the board. And because they set the tone, they hold the management accountable. The next one then is what I call inquiry or audit or examination. Now, you have routine things like internal audit. An internal audit here has to be a strong personality, very well equipped, who will call the shots as they see it. We had a problem here with our police, it's in the public knowledge, where the internal auditor found things that were wrong and they weren't revealed to the authorities. Okay, so internal audit. Also bolstered by, beefed up and bolstered by external audit. And that would be for a central bank, the World Bank or the European Bank, or somebody coming in from outside and having a look at everything inside the bank. That's another way in which you spot checks and so on to see that the thing is kosher. Now, there's a key point to be made here. Whenever we have a problem in police or education or hospitals, the first thing they always do is have an internal inquiry, one of their own people to investigate. They are rarely produce the true case. They almost always close ranks and produce a kind of a slight whitewash that they hope the public will be satisfied with. So I'm stressing here external audit, the crucial importance of external scrutiny, okay, however that's done in all cases. So also, for instance, one of the external bodies that does external scrutiny is one called Transparency International. Transparency International. That's a body that can come in and have a look at the institutions of the state and give you a view as to whether or not these are transparent. Now, there's a whole set of rules that govern the behavior of senior managers. So there's a whole set of rules to counter corruption. Now, you can imagine what some of those rules are. For example, the receiving of gifts. I've worked for a company where managers are forbidden to receive a bottle of whiskey for Christmas. Small gifts. It also excludes things like, expensive hotel trips with all expenses paid, and so on. So there's a whole set of rules which organizations have, depending on the organization, which forbid certain things or have rules about certain things which otherwise would be corrupt. Okay? Now, finally, it brings me back to something on the previous page, which is culture. We often hear the words a culture of corruption, culture of greed, and so on. Now, somebody once showed me the code of conduct for a board, big international board. In other words, they showed me all this stuff here, all the rules, all the kind of board of governors, board rules. And it was textbook stuff. It was all to do with integrity and accountability and taking gifts and everything else. So this guy was presenting a presentation on corporate governance, and he put up on a PowerPoint on a screen a wonderful statement of state-of-the-art good governance and lack of corruption. Then he said, I want you all to guess who that is, what company that is. So we all thought of wonderful companies like Apple or Johnson & Johnson or who's a really, really clean company or all of this. And the guy said, no, you're all wrong, it's FIFA. Now, FIFA is one of the most corrupt organizations in the world, as we know. So you can have all this stuff, and you can have it in the annual report, and you can have it on the wall, and you can have it on the back of everybody's security card, okay? But it's only an ornament, window dressing, if that is the case. So one of the things, start at the very highest levels. I'm talking about a board getting away to a nice hotel near the beach for 2 days. And one of the things they have to do on a regular basis is take out the statement of the organization's values. Take it out. And that'll be things like our first value is to protect the stability of the banking system by doing this, this, and this, and this. Second value is protecting the consumer's money in the bank, making sure they don't lose it because the bank goes bust. A third one would be public transparency and accountability. Another one would be efficiency. Another one would be whatever. So they're typical statements. You have to take them out. And the word that they use in some companies, we need to interrogate the ways in which we are living up to those values and the way we are not. And that has to be done on a regular basis at all levels in the organization, so that you're consciousness raising about the values and the standards. That means that the values and the standards become what's called salient. They're front of mind. They are present in the room when we do business and make decisions, especially when we're making hard decisions. The question people will ask, I've been in the room with people, You say, but is this consistent with our values? So that's how you do it. So they're just a couple of comments on how to prevent corruption. Thanks.